more worried about cold butt. That's to bring the heat it.
Oh, look at that reaction. Look at that. What do you say? What do you know? It's the full Monty Sports Show. It is Sunday, September 11th, 2022. I am your host, Monty Perez, a.k.a. The Sports Whisperer. I want to thank everyone for tuning in last week. We had 35 states watch the full Monty Sports Show. Make sure to give us a thumbs up. Make sure to like and subscribe the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. We are actually just approaching 1.5 million views on TikTok. 1.5 million views on TikTok. Started doing TikTok videos late last year. Do 2 or 3 videos per day. So all sports related. Had some videos that hit over 70,000 views. My Notre Dame video last week, yesterday, of them losing is at like 25,000 views. So I really appreciate you guys liking, following, and supporting the show and supporting me on TikTok. We have the best guests all across the country. This week is no exception. We are going to have former NFL quarterback, host of Huddle Up with Gus. Gus Frerotte is going to join us in about 10 minutes, talk about the NFL, quarterback play, and all that good stuff. Gus is just a phenomenal guest, and you have to check out his show. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not saying this because he comes on my show quite often. I love the way Gus gets the best out of the people he interviews. He gets these athletes, these actors, how to tell stories that I've heard people say on the show, I've never told that story before. And I'm like, it's so interesting, so thought-provoking, so you definitely want to check him out. And then we're going to have Nuts and Bolts Sports. Mark Wilson join us. He's going to break down Philadelphia sports. My surprise team is the Eagles this year. I think the Eagles are going to win the division. I don't think Dallas wins that division. And he's also going to tell us what games to bet on. So definitely check that out. We start each show with the good, the bad, and the funny. We start each show with the good, the bad, and the funny. Okay, let's get to the good. All right, it's week 1. That's the good, right? It's week 1 in the NFL season. People have been – I don't go through this, so I don't understand. A lot of people have depression when the NFL season is over. Because I follow basketball, because my Mets are actually going to make the playoffs this year, I don't really go through that depression when football is over. But a lot of people are happy. And unless you're the Houston Texans or the New York Jets fan base, you should be excited about the NFL season because there's so many possibilities, and we're going to get into that with Gus in about 6 or 7 minutes. Okay, so let's get to the bad. That's the good. Now let's get to the bad. Listen, I know that the Rams are going to be fine. I know that Sean McVay is one of the best coaches in the NFL, and they're coming off a Super Bowl win. But I said it when first of all, I had the Rams winning. So swing and a miss on my part. But I got to be honest here. For Sean McVay to come out and say, hey, guys, the team wasn't ready, that was on me. Now, someone said when I tweeted that out, he's just protecting his players. Rightly so. But why weren't the players prepared? I think Buffalo's very good. I don't have them going to the Super Bowl. But you cannot lose a home opener coming off a Super Bowl and just get thoroughly embarrassed. 31-10. And Sean McVay came out and said, this is on me, guys. Good for him taking that off his players. But this is like a couple of years ago when the Kansas City Chiefs were going to play the Tampa Bay Bucks in the Super Bowl. And the day before they interviewed Andy Reid and said, how much new stuff have you put in? And Andy Reid, I was shocked when he said, we know who we are. This is what we're doing. There's going to be no secrets. And they went out, and Tampa Bay and Todd Bowles, to his credit, the defensive coordinator at the time, knew exactly what Kansas City Chiefs were doing, and they got slammed. So Sean McVay, it looked to me like reading too many press clippings, going off your Super Bowl victory and being complacent. There was nothing new in this offense. So he has to get to the drawing board. So that's the good, the bad. We're going to get into the bad at the end of the show with college football and my boy Scott Frost at Nebraska, who I loved him when he was an assistant coach at Oregon. I loved him at UCF, but it has been a nightmare a nightmare for Scott Frost. He is 16-31. 16-31 as the head coach of Nebraska. Sometimes going home again is not really the best situation. Okay. All right. So let's get to this real quick. I was 80% last year picking NFL games. Now, people ask me, why don't you do it against the spread? It's simple. I have people come on who pick the games against the spread. And also, there are a lot of fans of mine who don't bet on sports. They'll watch every game, but they don't bet. So I just break down certain games that our guests aren't picking, and I pick the winners. Again, last year I was at 80%, so let's break this down real quick. We'll do this in about 3 or 4 minutes. Number one, Saints against the Falcons. This is the battle between Heisman Trophy winners, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota. I love the Falcons' skill players. I love Drake London. I love Kyle Pitts. I love Cordarrelle Patterson, and you all know I'm a huge Marcus Mariota fan. I think the Falcons can win 8 games this year, and that's a step in the right direction. But Pro Football Focus has their defensive line and offensive line ranked in the bottom in the NFL. So I'm going with the Saints here, even though my heart is with the Falcons. Take the Saints 23-20. Okay, Bears versus the 49ers. This is the battle between 2 second-year quarterbacks, Trey Lance and Justin Fields, who I both like them coming out of college. The difference is the 49ers have a ton of weapons. We're going to talk about this with Gus. What does a second-year quarterback do in his second year like Justin Fields? And he's in another system. He's had another coach. How does a young quarterback adjust to that? I like the 49ers here, 27-14. Okay. Steelers versus Bengals. Listen, I don't know how good Mitchell Trubisky could be, but I really believe that he's better than Ben Roethlisberger was last year. So I like the Steelers to win 9 or 10 games. I don't think they do that today. I think the Browns win here 30-23, but I think Mitchell Trubisky should be very effective. I love the rookie Pickens, the wide receiver. Okay, Carolina Panthers at the Cleveland, at the Browns. I love this Browns roster. If Deshaun Watson was playing, I know this is a revenge game, quote unquote, for Baker Mayfield, but if Deshaun Watson was playing, I would have the Browns winning this by 10 or more points. We know that Matt Rule is on the hot seat. Baker Mayfield is playing for his career. Let's be honest. Didn't work out for whatever reason with the Browns, but I do like the Browns here. I just like their roster, top to bottom. I don't care who's playing at quarterback, 23-20. Okay, I think the worst 2 teams in the NFL are going to be Houston Texans and the New York Jets. Colts at Texans. Matt Ryan leading his first game. Going to be some nerves there. First game, but he's got Jonathan Taylor, who by all accounts is the number 1 running back in fantasy football. Jonathan Taylor had over 2,000 all-purpose yards last year. Take the Colts here, 34-16. 34-16. Jaguars at the Commanders. This is a game that I'm not sure of. It's the only game this week that I'm 50-50 on. I'm going with the Washington Commanders just because Ron Rivera and this team was a disaster last year. They underachieved. They had so much hype making the postseason before. And again, Carson Wentz is playing for his career. This is his 3rd stop now. He was with the Eagles, he was with the Colts, and now he's with Washington. In a close game, take Washington 20-17. Okay, Jets against the Titans. Against the Baltimore Ravens. Joe Flacco is playing. You know, it's interesting. Joe Flacco, early on in training camp, was playing so well that the Jets coaching staff had to come out and defend Zach Wilson and say, listen, this is not a shock to us. Joe Flacco could start on almost 20 teams in the NFL. No, he can't. Joe Flacco's not a starter in the NFL. If Joe Flacco's starting for you more than 1 or 2 games, you're not a good team. I like the Ravens here. I think Lamar Jackson and their defense. Again, we'll talk to Gus about this in a few. That division's crazy. Take Baltimore here, 30-17. Arizona at Kansas City. A lot of people are saying that Kansas City, without Tyreek Hill, is going to be in trouble. No, they're not. Patrick Mahomes, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And my fantasy sleeper, Juju Smith-Schuster, the former Steeler, I wouldn't be surprised if he has 90 catches this year. Take the Chiefs here in a high-scoring game, 33-24. Giants at Titans. I think Saquon Barkley has a big game. I think Derrick Henry, they're going to ease him in. Listen, the Titans are without A.J. Brown. right? But they still have Robert Woods. They have some decent receivers. Take the Titans here. I think the Giants don't win 6 games, 26-21. Raiders versus Chargers in the best game of the year. By the way, who's working for the Chargers here? Who came up with this? You don't have my boy Justin Herbert on this? How is he not the face of the Chargers? Maybe Justin Herbert's like that. He's very understated. I think Devontae Adams and the Raiders have a very good year, but Justin Herbert has been chomping at the bit to come back after the Raiders knocked him out of the playoffs Sunday night last year in just a crazy game. Take the Chargers here in a high-scoring game, 30-27. Finally, Tom Brady's back against Dallas. I do not like Todd Bowles. I saw him as the Jets head coach. There are certain guys like a Norv Turner, okay, like a Wade Phillips, like a Todd Bowles, who is super successful as a coordinator, and they struggle to do things. Rex Ryan, good coordinator, wasn't a good head coach. They struggle with time management. They struggle with timeouts. I think Tom Brady's professionalism and familiarity with this offense will limit Todd Bowles' mistakes. I don't like Mike McCarthy at all. I think this is his last year in Dallas. I don't think Dallas makes the playoffs. Take Tampa Bay here. And what some are saying is a slight upset, 27-21. Okay, so there are my picks. I did 80% last year. The goal is to do 85% this year. Don't know that I'll get it, but hopefully I'll give you some insight and definitely, really help you out for those who don't gamble, because not everyone gambles. Get to the comments here. Happy Sunday. Jersey Girl saw all the Ravens. Listen, the Steelers, the Raiders, the Ravens, they are legitimately just a fan base that deserves all the credit in the world. The way they travel, the way they, go to every road game, it's amazing. Keep the comments coming. One of our favorite guests right now, Gus Frerotte, former NFL quarterback, host of Huddle Up with Gus. Gus, happy Sunday. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, how's it going, buddy? It's good to see you again back in the NFL, start of the season. Pretty exciting times.
Yes, it's a very exciting time. I think, again, all fan bases are optimistic. And I want to talk about that with you, first of all. When I first started coaching, Gus, I got hired in October in college. I was an assistant, and we didn't have a lot of talent. We finished 13-11. I went into the head coach's office at the end of the season, and I said, we need to replace 3 starters if we're going to be successful. The following year, we won 20. We had a ton of talent. And after that, my teams had talent. And there's a different mindset, right? Like when you have a team that can't afford to make mistakes, you kind of like, you're always waiting for that shoe to fall. When you have a good team, hey, we can make a mistake. We can overcompensate for it. So someone like you who's been on very good teams and has been as teams to struggle, what's the mindset when you go into training camp? For example, you without Barry Sanders, he retired. What's the mindset where you're like, damn, we're shorthanded here? And then conversely, you talk about the Miami Dolphin teams and some of the teams that you've been on that you knew right away, we got leaders, we got talent. What are the two mindsets for a team that you don't know if you can make the playoffs or a team that, damn, we're pretty good?
Well, I think there's a couple things is that you're always auditioning. It doesn't matter what kind of team you're on. The NFL obviously is an amazing job to have, and you're always out there and you have to compete and you have to audition and put that good film out every time you go out. And when I was in Detroit, I was coming off stuff in Washington and I wanted to go out and prove myself. So you go out and play hard, you be a good team leader, and you be a big part of the team. And I think that we in Detroit understood where we were with losing Barry, but we also had a really good locker room, and we understood that we can do this, and we went out and competed each and every week. And then in Miami, it was the same thing. It was we had a good team, we had a pretty good locker room. Junior Seau was our leader, and we did things that with a new coach and Nick Saban that people weren't sure that we could do. We barely missed the playoffs. We should have made the playoffs. We had a couple games we'd probably like to have back. But we had a good team, and the mindset is the same no matter what when you go into a season. I don't care if your team hasn't won a game in 20 games. You go out every game, you play hard, and you've got to have the coaches and the players to all leave the same. If you don't, it's not going to happen.
So, Gus, Like you said, with that Miami team, Junior Seau, leadership in the locker room. So there were teams that you just had like a little bit of a swagger, like, damn, we're going to be pretty good, right? Did you ever play for teams that like, man, this team, we should have confidence, but we don't?
Yeah, I think that there's been teams that I've been on that we've had really good personnel, we've had good play, and you just go out there and nobody trusts each other, and you're not sure what's going to happen. Those kind of games and those teams are difficult. And I think when I look back in those situations, you've got to have great leadership, right? Your coach has to be able to see that guys are struggling, guys are not together, guys are not playing for one another, and you have to have a front office and you have to have a coaching staff that understands how to pull all that together. And you were talking about talent before when you were a head coach, and talent doesn't always necessarily mean like the best numbers guy, right? It means somebody that fits the profile that you want, the players that you like. They don't have to have the highest vertical, the fastest 40, but they have to have the mindset that you want. If you're a guy that likes to have fun and enjoy and know you can still win that way, then you got to find guys that kind of fit that. If you're a hard-nosed guy and you want to push people, you got to find that kind of talent. So all talent is different, and I think it comes down to the leadership to recognize that profile and go out and do the right things for the team.
Because people are loving your Led Zeppelin. Is this a tribute to the Raiders with your all-black combination here?
No, it's not a tribute to the Raiders, but it could be. I mean, I do like the Raiders. I like their team, what they've done out there. But I just threw this on. I got done walking, and I went in and was sweating a little bit, and had to take the other stuff off. Put this on. But Panini's my, I love those guys, and my sons and I collect cards, so it's been a lot of fun working with them, and just one of my favorite T-shirts. Doesn't like to get the lead out every now and then.
So my friend Bill sent me this picture, and he said, how did Gus not rush for 2,000 yards as a quarterback? Because he looks like a giant amongst men. Gus, do you remember this particular picture? I'm sure you don't. But Jesus, you were huge. I mean, you look so much bigger than your lineman here.
Oh, yeah, that was, it's kind of funny. That year, we only had 18 guys on our football team. So I was pretty much the biggest guy on the team. And we ran the wing tee. We didn't really throw it. I mean, that was one of the very rare opportunities where I was running a waggle and was going to throw the football. We did run it a lot. I wasn't a guy that was known for rushing. I wasn't one of those guys. In ninth grade, I actually broke my neck playing football. And so, I was still kind of guarded on a lot of things that I was doing on the football field.
Now, when you broke your neck, this is an interesting point. Did you ever, or your family, your friends, hey man, maybe football is not for you, it's not worth risking your life? Did that ever, or you just loved it so much, you're like, freak accident, it's time to get healthy and move on?
Well, there was a couple factors in that. I didn't play the rest of that ninth grade year. That happened in 2 days. And then I didn't play in 10th grade year either. I just kind of hung out. I played baseball and basketball. When you're young, you heal fast. I still had issues with it, but I was able to heal and play and kept growing. And then 11th grade, end up being the starter and the varsity team. And, it was a great coach. Actually, my father-in-law, Harry Beckwith, who's passed, but, he kind of took care of me. And I wasn't real into trying to hit anymore. It was more, I'm going to get rid of the ball. If it wouldn't have happened to me, I probably would have been able to, rush for more yards. But for me, it was more of, learning to play quarterback, being a team leader, learning and understanding how to do those things. And to be honest, I didn't really get into how to throw the football until I got to college. But, when kids have injuries young and you come back, I had a dad who was a mill guy, one of 15 kids. There's just a toughness built here in Pittsburgh that you fight through it. And most people understand it. And obviously my mom, I don't think she ever wanted me to play again, but my dad was like, get your ass out there.
We're going to talk about a bunch of quarterbacks. 11 Bravo brings up, I want to know, things young quarterbacks learn what to do, what not to do between years 1 and 2. So let's start with this, Gus. You talk about getting hit. One of the things that one of the reasons why I don't like the Buffalo Bills to go to the Super Bowl, and I said this last year, is they're too heavy reliant on Josh Allen running the ball. And you could succeed in running the ball in the NFL, but Josh Allen, he's got to learn to slide. Gus, he's trying to truck people and run them over like he's at Wyoming. When is this guy going to learn, hey, man, it's not worth it me giving a hit because I could get hurt?
Well, I mean, he's a big dude, right? He's strong, but he also got to realize that, in those situations when you're winning by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, the coaches have to realize it too. I got to give the ball up. We got to run the ball. And, they're saying, well, that's not our offense. That's not what we do. But, going through a 17-game season, taking those hits, yeah, it may not look, he didn't get hurt this game. But that soreness, if he said, okay, look, I didn't really feel bad until I got hit in the fourth quarter when we were winning by 2 touchdowns.
Right.
Those are things that you can eliminate, right? And we've all seen a lot of quarterbacks take a lot of hits. Now, as fans, we don't want to see those guys do that, right? We want to see them play tough and hard every game. But in reality, if Josh Allen wasn't playing a game, I think Bills Mafia would be way more pissed off than if he was, hey, I'm going to get 4 yards and run somebody over.
Yeah, I don't like it. He's too physical. Carson Wentz has this in him. He doesn't know how to slide. He wants to just run people over. All right, let's talk about quarterback, something you obviously know a tremendous amount about. How does Matthew Stafford come into this year? Look, it didn't pan out Thursday night. They didn't play well. But this is his second year. He's a veteran quarterback, and now he's under Sean McVay's system for a second year. You've said this on the show. It's really like learning a whole new language. So you got to assume that Matthew Stafford right now is so confident and comfortable, right?
He is, but he's not in the same sense, right? You saw that, the guy he mostly targeted was Cooper Kupp. We understand that he's, MVP, was an incredible player. They have other talent on the team, but I think the big struggle for the Rams is going to be their offensive line. They played a Bills defense that only rushed 4 all game. I don't think they blitzed once, and they still got to him a ton of times. And, it's something that the line has to step up because Matthew Stafford is not known as a scrambler, especially at his age. And I think that what he is going to be uncomfortable about, not the play calling, not where to go with the football, but moving out of the pocket and always having to move my feet. It just felt like he wasn't very comfortable. He still made a lot of good throws, but he still had some turnovers and he had a lot of pressure on him. I think they knocked him down a bunch of times with only 4 guys. So what's going to happen when they blitz a ton? And I think teams learned a lot from watching that Bills game.
You bring up a good point about teams learning a lot. One of the things that we've seen is the NFL is a copycat league, right? The Wildcat was real popular for a while. Teams try to emulate it. One of the things that Buffalo does not get credit for is I think last year, none of their defensive linemen played more than 76% of the snaps. This guy, they only have to rush 4 guys. Obviously now they have Von Miller, so you could rush him at the end and linebacker if you want to blitz. But do you think this is going to be a new trend with run because it's a vertical passing league? No one's huddling anymore. Do you think more teams are going to take the Buffalo Bills defensive approach of just rotating defensive linemen? So in the fourth quarter, instead of offensive linemen wearing you down, you're wearing them down.
Well, you got to have the 7-8 guys to be able to do that. And then it has to be coordinated. It can't just be like, hey, wait till this guy gets tired and you come out. I think the Bills have worked on it, right? That they know that, all right, I'm going to get 3 plays, I'm out after 3 plays, whatever it is. They get a first down, somebody new's coming in. Whatever their kind of thinking is on how to bring new guys in and out, you have to be able to do that. Otherwise, you're going to get caught so many times with too many men on the field or a guy trying to get off late. I think the Bills have done it so well that they do rest their guys a lot. And you have to understand that all right, I got my, 4th string defensive end in there or whatever it is, we have to live with it so our other guys can get a rest because we know that the fourth quarter is got to be super important for us. So the Bills understand it. They've done a great job. Leslie Frazier has done a great job with doing that. Now, other teams may want to try to do that. Now, if they try to do it during the regular season, they're going to get caught because quarterbacks are smart. They're going to run plays quickly. And it's not something that you can just put in during the week. You have to have a plan, and the defense, I love how they do it. I think it's smart.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is the master of when teams try to sub in, he will just, do a quick snap count to get, 12 men on the field. So, Gus, you and I obviously have something in common here. My friend Bill just texted me. I was at 225 a couple weeks ago. I want to get down to 205. Bill just said, I've never seen Gus look leaner. What is he doing?
I wish, Bill. Thanks. I think it's just the camera. I got that special effect on the camera to try to make me look thinner. But
he says he goes, he looks so lean.
I wish. It's just, you know how it is. You just got to eat better, and you got to kind of get some exercise in. And I'm not the greatest at it all the time. And it's just trying to watch what you eat. And I really don't take any, say, I'm not going to drink that. I'm not going to eat that. I try to, if I'm going to have some ice cream, I'm not going to, go back and eat the whole thing. You're going to have a couple scoops and move on. But I think that's the key to life, right? Because I love food. I love cooking food. I love having a drink, and I'm not going to stop doing that stuff. So I think the important thing is to learn how to kind of limit some of that stuff, not take it away, and then just be able to be happy. When you want something, go eat it. Don't overdo it.
Don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah, and just got to move. For me, moving sometimes is going out and doing yard work for 4 hours in a day, or sometimes it's taking a long hike with my wife or doing something like that.
That's good, man. Yeah, I've been trying to do 15 to 20,000 steps a day, running, jogging, walking after the gym. So I'm going on vacation on the 14th. So I want to really just try to get leaner. Okay, let's go back to NFL. Mitchell Trubisky, I like the Steelers, but again, this is a guy who's a veteran quarterback, has had success with whether people like him or not, made it to the playoffs. But now, Gus, you've been in this situation where you're a veteran quarterback, you go to a new team, and you got to learn everything all over again. How difficult is this for him?
I don't think it's going to be that tough for him. I think he's a smart guy. He's been in some systems. I mean, he probably was in 3 or 4 systems when he was in Chicago alone. It seemed like he was always trading. They were all getting a new coordinator. And, you talked about that with Justin Fields earlier. But I think Mitchell's smart. They're probably going to rely heavily on Najee Harris in these games. I mean, the dude's stacked. I don't think their line is where they want it to be. But, if they got to rely on the line to pass block all game, I don't think that's the formula for the Steelers to win. I think they got to go and run the ball. They got to pound it, and they got to give Trubisky a chance and play action and probably rollouts and things, because he is fast. He can move. He's mobile. And I think they give him an opportunity just to make plays. I think if Mitch can limit errors, whether it's a turnover or, just taking a big sack or something like that, I think if he's smart and can do that, he's going to give the Steelers a really good shot to win this year, because we know their defense is great every year. Yeah,
I mean, T.J. Watt, to me, has been one of the, other than Aaron Donald, is the best defensive player. You got to really game plan for him. I don't think he ever gets the same amount of credit that his brother J.J. got in his heyday, and he's damn good. But I'm high on the Steelers this year. I know the Bengals have improved with their offensive line. I think the Ravens are going to be very good. I don't know what to expect from the Browns. They have a lot of talent, but their quarterback position is not what you like. Are you as high on the Steelers winning 9 or 10 games as I am?
I don't know. I think coming off losing your all-pro player that you've had for, I don't know how many years, Ben, played 17 or something like that, and starting over, there's always going to be comparisons, whether it's Pickett or Trubisky playing. That's always going to be about Big Ben. And, can they overcome those things? I think Coach Thomas is a good enough coach to do that. I don't know if it's a 10-win season. It could be. I'm thinking more of an 8 or 9-win season.
Yeah, I mean, I love Tomlin. He's never had a losing record, so that's impressive. I mean, Bill Belichick has lost. You look around the NFL, Andy Reid has had losing records. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record in the NFL. That is amazing. I know you live in Pittsburgh. Is there optimism here, or you're like, damn, this division's so good, we're just hoping for the best?
Well, it's a great division. It's a fun division. I think that, I think the Steelers and Steelers fans we went through a lot of who the quarterback was going to be this year, this offseason. People wanted Kenny Pickett. Obviously, he went to Pitt. He's a hometown favorite. But I think the Steelers understood that we need him to take a year, understand what it is to be a professional, and do that. And I think that if Trubisky struggles, I don't think they're going to go to Mason Rudolph. They're going to go to Kenny Pickett and see what he can do out there. But for me, I think the toughest part for the Steelers this year is going to be what are the receivers going to be like, and what's their receiving core going to do to help Trubisky. Can they get open? Can they do the things that we need? Good players, but I think that's the big question mark for the Steelers.
Yeah, I think Juju Smith-Schuster is going to have a monster year in Kansas City, the former Steeler. All right, let's move to our final quarterback in this scenario. Justin Fields, loved him coming out of college, a ton of talent, but he's in his second year with a new coach. And let's be honest, they got rid of Robinson. They got rid of a ton of players. They are rebuilding. I don't understand this, Gus. How do you have a second-year franchise quarterback, and as the organization, you're really not putting him in the best situation because you got rid of a ton of high-priced but quality players?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they bring in a new coach. They wanted somebody with kind of more offensive firepower and to kind of give Justin what he needed. But they did. They lose Allen Robinson. They have some good pieces, but it's another tough division, right? They're going to have to play the Packers. They're going to have to play the Vikings, who are going to be good. And I think the Lions are even going to be good because I think their coach is going to get them ready to play every game. They're going to play tough football. So I think Justin Fields for him was learning a new offense. Can I go out and compete? He's probably going to do a lot more with his legs than he probably normally would. And we'll see what happens. But I think it's going to be a long road for the Bears. If they win 7 games, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rebuilding year. And my friend Andrea is a diehard Bears fan, and I tell her, if you just see Justin Fields make some progress and the game starts to slow down a little bit for him, it's a successful year. Okay, so I want to talk about leadership. You talked about Junior Seau, but in particular, the quarterbacks. In doing research for this particular episode, I saw a video, and they're talking about Joe Montana in the huddle in his first Super Bowl, or against the Bengals. And they got to score a touchdown to win. And everyone's nervous. No one knows what's going on. And Joe Montana during the commercial says, "Hey, isn't that John Candy? Oh my God, John Candy's here." And it just lightened the whole mood. And the team went from stress to laughing. And, talk about Tom Brady for a second. I remember against the Raiders when they're driving down and there's 30 seconds left. He spikes the ball. He catches it. Then he's like flipping it up, like totally calm. So talk about in the huddle how important it is for a quarterback to take control. Did you ever have an unruly wide receiver who's like, throw me the damn ball, or someone talking, and you got to tell those guys, shut the F up?
Well, I did play with Randy Moss, so yes,
right.
I had a receiver that would tell me to throw him the ball. But
which was good advice, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can throw Randy the Moss the ball, do it every time. I think it's just as a quarterback, you've been with those guys for so long, you know what they're all about, you know what makes them tick, and you can see what is bothering them, right? If anything at all, right? If your team is out there, and I'm sure if Joe would have just been understood that, hey, these guys are kicking butt, let's just go, let's roll, he probably wouldn't have said anything. But sometimes you need to lighten the mood and to bring the guys back out of their head a little bit and focus on something else, because what that does is lets them just trust in what they're doing, right? And hear the play, go run it, don't think about it. And sometimes when you can do that, things work out so much better. And so I think as quarterbacks, we're around our linemen, we're around the guys on offense so much, and that you kind of get to know their ins and outs and what makes them tick. They're all from different backgrounds. They all come from different places. Some are single, some are married. Some have a girlfriend, some just work their tails off. Everybody's different. So as a quarterback, you have to understand that. And, how do you put your team in a situation that gives them the best opportunity to win? And I think when you look at a Joe Montana, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, those guys knew what to do in and out of the huddle.
Now, have you ever experienced, like you said, you played with Randy Moss. Did you ever experience where, we've seen Tom Brady get into it on the sideline. Dan Marino was notorious for yelling at guys. Did you ever just tell a guy, hey, shut the F up, I'm the quarterback, do what you're told?
Yeah, I mean, didn't really do that during the games too much. It was just kind of like I'd go tell his coach, because I think there were times that you do that and you take an opportunity, and I tried to diffuse situations, right? Because you never want to make anybody angry, right? If you can make them angry and they play better, okay, there's a different level to that, just like I was talking about before. But a lot of times when I had issues, it was okay. It was before practice, or it was when we were together in the locker room, and I've had some times where you get in a guy's face and you got to tell him what it is, what it's about. He wants to fight you or whatever. But I think there's times, those times are just kind of kept between the two of you. Or I mean, the one time I was getting my ankles taped and I said, hey, you make sure when you run this route, you do this. And he said, no, I'll do whatever I want. I said, all right, well, then you won't get the ball. And that's just kind of like, okay, well, that sparked it. But in reality, that's kind of sometimes what you got to do, because, you're the one with the ball in your hand every time, and you're expecting them to do what you think they should do and what they've been doing in practice. And if they're off a little bit and it looks like a wayward throw, well, yeah, he wasn't coming out flat on his out route. He was taking it upfield. And so there were little nuances like that you got to constantly drive into people's heads. And, if guys don't want to listen or don't want to pay attention, it's going to be a long day and it's going to look bad on you. So nobody wants to do that, and everybody wants to win.
We're talking with Gus Frerotte here, host of Huddle Up with Gus, played in the NFL for over 15 years. Gus, Randall Cunningham said the first time he played Bruce Smith hit him. It was a little bit late. He didn't get a penalty call. And Bruce Smith hit him so hard and said to him, it's going to be all day. That's all he said. And Randall Cunningham said, I wanted to go to the sideline and quit because my whole body hurt, and it was the first quarter. Has any defensive player ever hit you so hard or said something to you that scared the hell out of you or just made you laugh hysterically?
Yeah, I don't think you play 15 years and not get hit like that or have a situation like that. I mean, I remember Eric Swan hitting me one time so hard when we were playing Arizona that I just, my whole arm went numb, and it's just like, what is going on? Like, what, and all you're doing is hearing in the headset, get your ass up. We got another play call, and you're throwing the ball down the field, and you don't even get a chance to think about it. I think that's a good part of it. The worst is when you're laying there and you've been hit so hard that the next thing you know is the training staff is sitting over top of you. That's when it's bad, right? If you can get up and laugh about it and say, I want to go to the sideline, then you're not that bad. But it's when you're laying there and you're like, oh, what just happened? What train just hit me? And then you look up and there's Kevin Bastine, who's their head trainer, and saying, you okay? And it's like, maybe not if you're out here. So there are times like that. And, I remember one time we were playing San Francisco when I was in Washington, and Dana Stubblefield and Bryant Young are laying on top of me, and they're just laughing in my face, and they're like, hey, how you doing, Gus? And I'm like, not so good right now. So there are really good times, and people talk to you, and but for the most part, it's all competitive, and you're fighting out there, and those guys are big, man. When you get hit, I don't care how big you are, it's going to hurt.
It's funny because I was watching a video a couple of weeks ago of Justin Herbert, and people get annoyed because every time he gets hit, he'll be like, good hit, man, and like tap them. And it's like, how can you be mad at someone who's so nice? I think someone on the Raiders was saying, I want him to be like, shut the hell up, man, and get in my face. He was like, good hit, man. Hey, way to work hard. He's complimenting me as I'm sacking him.
Yeah. Everybody has a different way to deal with things. And I that's kind of funny. Like, and that's that's almost a mindset that Justin probably has built up over time that says, yeah, that's a good hit. You didn't really hit me though. Right. It's like putting like on the defensive players going back and going, God, I really hit him hard. Maybe it wasn't as hard as I thought it was. And maybe, you know what I mean? So he's playing mind games with them as well as they do with him. So I don't have a problem with that. And you see a lot of guys doing that when they get hit. Quarterback's laying on the ground, they'll tap the defensive player on the head and say, hey, good hit or whatever. But sometimes they get you, man. You give them a little credit.
So talk about young quarterbacks. You can't go wrong here. Obviously, I think Justin Herbert will be the MVP this year. He's my early season. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a good year, even without Tyreek Hill. But Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, if you're picking a franchise over the next 3 years, which one of those guys are you taking, or are you taking someone else?
Well, I mean, it's hard to go against any of those guys, really, right? They all showed us that they can play. They can play really well. Obviously, we saw Joe Burrow, what he's made of. And, I just look at the Tennessee game. Yeah, he played a lot of other games, but the Tennessee game, when you get knocked down that many times and you just come back, and it's like that didn't even bother him, and he's making throws. But, everybody you got up there, they're leaders, they're really good players, and I think you can build a franchise around any of them. And some of them, like Patrick Mahomes, they've proven themselves that they can go win the big game for you. But I think any one of those quarterbacks, any coach or any owner would love to have them and build their franchise around them.
And you brought up a good point regarding Pickett from Pittsburgh sitting year. There are more than one way to be successful. Aaron Rodgers sat for years. Tom Brady sat for years, right? Phillip Rivers was behind Drew Brees. So someone like Pickett can be successful. Not everyone is going to come out and be a Burrow. Even Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith. So it took Josh Allen a year or two to get acclimated. Now, my question to you as we're looking at this list, Lamar Jackson is now representing himself. Do you think this is a good thing or do you think this is a bad thing? Because I think you brought this up before. Your agent is going to go into those talks and they may say something that the agent protects you from. Okay, the NFL and the owners, they're cutthroat. They're going to tell Lamar Jackson, hey, this is why we're not going to sign you. So mentally, the stuff that your agent protects you from, the negativity that you may never hear, now he's going to hear in these meetings. Do you like players representing themselves, or do you say, get the hell out, don't do it?
Well, I think there's a good and bad to it because actually you want to know what they're talking about. Like a lot of times agents don't tell you everything. I had an incident where I had an agent and he had the other quarterback on the team and all of a sudden the team signs the other quarterback to a larger deal and you're going, hey, what's the deal? And he said, well, they wanted him more. And like, well, why didn't you tell me that? We would have went somewhere else, right? It's now I can't leave or move my family. And so there's a lot of situations I've heard of guys representing themselves. I think there's things that go on like that. Lamar will obviously have to have an attorney look at the contract or somebody read it so he understands the language, because a little word like an and, an if, or a but can change a whole contract for you. And so I think representing yourself is not necessarily a bad thing, but you do have to have good counsel with you so that you understand the whole contract, because believe me, it's a business. And if a team can try and pull something over on you, just like saying like, oh, you have to study so many hours in a day, just like what happened with Kyler Murray in Arizona. They'll do anything they can to get ahead on you to keep you under their thumb. And I think that, Lamar is one of the best players in the NFL. He does things that nobody else can do. And I still don't understand when teams are giving Russell Wilson, no offense to him, a contract like he got, but then there's a guy like Lamar Jackson who isn't getting a deal that's greater than that. I guess I just don't understand it.
When that Kyler Murray story came out, I went back and I looked, and a lot of this has to do with Cliff Kingsbury as the head coach, because it was the same way at Texas Tech. In the second half of the season, he was terrible. In the second half of the season, the Arizona Cardinals, under those two guys, have faltered. And part of my reasoning is, okay, well, maybe they don't adjust, and maybe, Kyler Murray is just relying on his athleticism and his gamemanship and his ability to play. But Gus, you know this better than anyone. Hours and hours of film. If you watch 3 hours of film just to get one little advantage, you got to do it. I mean, you should not be putting in your contract you have to watch film.
No, I don't think that they should have done that. I think that every NFL player watches a lot of film. It's broken down for you so that you don't have to spend 12 hours a day watching film like you used to back in the day, right? I'm going to watch every third down from the last 3 games that these guys play. So I'm going to watch every blitz. And the film guys and the people that are on staff do such a great job of breaking it all down for you that you literally can go into a computer. Now it's all done through the cloud. So you can get all that stuff, get it instantly. I can watch it on a plane. I can watch it in a car. I can watch it, if I'm eating dinner somewhere. You can watch film relentlessly now. And I think the guys do that. And you watch, okay, this is our package this week. How are they gonna attack it? Here's what they've done the last 3 or 4 games. So you can't watch all the film from all the season, but you can go back and watch 3 or 4 games, or you watch somebody that complements your offense so that here's how they played when we played them last. And then obviously you go back and watch the last game you played that team.
All right, let's talk about the AFC West. You have potentially, I don't know why Derek Carr doesn't get the credit he deserves, maybe because he's surrounded by so many people. But Derek Carr, if you just look at his numbers over the last few years, now he's added Devontae Adams. Talk about this division. The AFC West is going to be insane. Who do you like coming out of this division?
Well, it's the best division in football. It's going to be most fun to watch. It's going to be high-powered between Kansas City and what they have done in the past. What Mahomes, I think they're just going to have another exceptional year. Even losing Tyreek Hill, they're still going to have a great team. They know their weakness has always been defense, so I'm sure they tried to bolster it over the offseason. You look at what the Raiders have done. Tough team to play always. I think David Carr getting another weapon. I think you got to look at Josh Jacobs. I think he's going to have a great year because there's just no way that they're going to play single man coverage on him, right? Like all these teams, they got to go out and they got to really cover because, it's not the only. We saw Darren Waller just get a new contract. The Raiders have some tools. Hunter Renfrow. If you go out and look at tape on Hunter Renfrow and what the guys can say about him, he's killing it, right? And Derek Carr, it's one of his favorite weapons. And then you go to Justin Herbert and what he's doing, all the weapons he has, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, everybody they put together. They got Bosa at defensive end. They got a good defense. And I think that, for me, last on a list that's unproven is obviously the Broncos and Russell Wilson.
Right.
I think he left a team that he had 2 good receivers, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I don't know what these receivers are. He's got Jerry Jeudy, a bunch of other guys. They gave him a big contract. It's always hard to go to Mile High and play. But I think if I looked at it and had to come down, it's a very hard choice to make and who's going to win a division. And I think it's going to come down to who has the best defense, not who has the best offense, because I think they're all going to be great in offense. And for me, I don't know who the best defense is going to be. I think right now the Raiders might have the best shot at being the best defense in that league. And so they might be up there at number 1, and then it's like 1A, 1B, and then go down to C with the Broncos. I think the Broncos come in last in that division.
Hunter Renfrow had 100 catches last year, and no one even pays attention to how good he actually is. My friend Bill again coming at you. Men in Black, Gus Frerotte. So I like that. All right, Gus, who are your sleeper teams? For me in the NFC, and I'm going to get Mark Wilson on in about 5 minutes. We'll let you go. I have the Eagles. I think the Eagles' offensive line is going to be very good. I think adding A.J. Brown. Most people think the Ravens were the number 1 rushing team last year. They weren't. It was the Eagles. I have the Eagles in the NFC. Who do you have in the NFC and the AFC as kind of your surprise teams?
I don't know. I love the Eagles too. It's hard saying that being a Washington guy, but I think the Eagles they had a killer draft. I think they did an amazing job getting an all-pro wide receiver. They added some D linemen that are, just tops in the biz right now. And I think that they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I think that guy right there is going to be the key to it all. Can he have a good season? Can he not make the mistakes that put him in bad spots? And I think that, being with those guys for a full year now, adding some good players, I think the Eagles, I like them in the NFC. They're going to be tough. As far as other sleepers go, I don't know. It's hard for me to say that there are other teams that I would put over them right now because I think they have as good a shot as anybody in the NFC. The AFC is where it's tough, right? The sleepers, the whole AFC West is going to be good. The Bills are obviously really good. In that division, I don't know who it is. The sleeper may be, for me, the Colts, right? They have a good offensive line. They have a great running game. What's their defense going to be like? They play in the Dome. They can win a lot of games there. And, Matt Ryan's older. Might be his last year. I don't know. Can he produce? Can he get the ball to the right guys? I don't know. We'll see. The sleeper might be the Colts in the AFC.
I root for the Packers, but I think they take a step back. Alan Lazard is number 1. One thing I love about Sammy Watkins is in 1 week, he'll get you 8 catches for 189 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then he'll have 8 catches for 3 straight weeks. maybe Aaron Rodgers can pull the trigger, motivate him, make sure that he knows he's going to get the ball all the time. But do you think the Packers take a step back without Davante Adams?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that Davante Adams dictated coverage a lot of times, right? That, he was going to be the guy that they had to cover. He's the best receiver in the league. And then now I don't even think Alan Lazard's playing today. I think he's out. So I don't know who, Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, put the ball wherever he wants. It's going to make plays. But I don't know who he's going to throw it to. Obviously they have Tanya in their tight end. They have a great, incredible running game. So are they going to rely on that? Their defense is tops in the league. So I think that they're going to rely on the defense, probably run the ball a little more, and hopefully Aaron can manage all that. And when the big plays need to be made, he's going to find somebody who can do it for him.
Finally, Gus, back in the day, you had the Kellen Winslows of the world, but the tight ends weren't as predominant as they are now. Are you amazed at the evolution of this position? Guys who are 6'5", 250, who can block, who can run just as fast as a defensive back or outrun a safety and a linebacker. I mean, talk about tight end play, because you look at elite teams and they do go to their tight end quite often.
Yeah, the elite tight ends have as many catches as any receiver in the league. You look at, Mark Andrews, the guys you had up on the screen, Darren Waller. There's good tight ends. Kyle Pitts at Atlanta. Hopefully that Mariota can get him the ball. But there's good tight ends all over the league. And to see guys that are that big, right, you have to be that big. If you want to block defensive end and defensive linemen and come down and seal that end, I mean, tight ends have to be multi-purpose. And those guys are doing that. But they're also incredible at running routes and running past linebackers. And so it's just a lot of fun to see the tight end. And, somebody like Kelsey, they're redefining what a tight end is, but I think coaches are still going to have those big guys, that the tight ends that can come in, they can catch a flat route for you, but they're an extra offensive tackle for you on the outside.
Gus, when you say you hope Mariota can get him the ball, is that a shot at my boy Marcus Mariota there?
No, I'm saying that, I don't know what their whole line is like.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Cordell. Yeah, it's just I think they're in the rebuilding phase. I like Marcus. We'll see what happens with them. But they've lost some parts, and hopefully he can play well, play smart, and they're going to have a challenge ahead of them. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Marcus Mariota.
I do like their skill position. I love Drake London, the rookie. I do love Patterson. Obviously, Pitts could be an elite tight end. Gus, always a pleasure having you on. How can we follow you? How can we support you? One of my friends said, I love listening to Gus, but how come he doesn't pick a consistent time to post the shows? So talk about how we can follow and support you. I said in the beginning, you are a great interviewer because you get these actors and athletes to open up. They feel so comfortable and relaxed around you. How can we follow and support your program?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I switched gears a little bit. I still do my program. I haven't done it in a while just because I've been working on a new project. So I partnered with the NFL alumni. We created NFL alumni podcasts now. And so I wanted to do something for all of our former players. So it's a new podcast network by former players for former players. And so we have 12 shows currently. We have 3 team shows and a bunch of individual shows. So our team shows are Stars and Stripes. And it's Kenny Anderson, Anthony Munoz, Jim Breach, and Dave Lapham. They do the Bengals. We have In the Dog Pound, which is incredible. It's Mike Tomczak, Leroy Horde, Hanford Dixon, Frank Stams, Eric Metcalf. They do a show. They come on. And the thing about it is we wanted to be unfiltered. And you're going to love this. We got a great Packers show. It's called Green and Gold G Lounge. It's Amon Green. It's Dorsey Levens, and it's Gilbert Brown, the gravedigger. And they do an incredible show, and these guys say whatever they want. I just give them a little bit of kind of an outline and let them go. And they've been incredible shows. Carl Mecklenburg has a podcast on our network. Marcus Ogden, Mark Pattison, George Jones. We just have some incredible guys, and obviously Huddle Up with Gus is on there. And we're going to be taking a turn with Huddle Up with Gus, and we're going to be doing more rivalry talk. So I want to get people on like Ray Lewis, Eddie George, Michael Strahan, Jonathan Ogden, people that played against each other and have little moments that are amazing to listen to. And that rivalry aspect would be a lot of fun. But everyone can go to NFLA Podcasts with an S at the end.com, and you can find your favorite show. And we're going to be adding a new show this week that I think everyone is going to love and want to listen to. But remember, it's unfiltered. These guys are saying whatever they want, and it's like being back in the locker room.
So I can't listen to it in my office with people walking around.
You could. I mean,
I'm the HR guy too, so I guess I'm my own HR person, so I guess I can listen to it.
Yeah, I think you'll love it though. I think all the shows are wonderful, and these guys have been putting in a lot of work over the last 3 months. And we're building a network for former players. We have a lot to say, and we have a lot of content that really hasn't been out there yet.
Well, Gus, I always appreciate you taking the time. One of my most popular videos on TikTok, anytime I post a video with you on my show, it blows up. So I really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's the first week of Sunday, and I'm honored and thankful that you decided to come on the show today.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm just, my fantasy team is called Najee by Nature, so I'm hoping my fantasy team.
And give us a quick lineup. Who's your lineup?
Najee, my running back. So.
Okay. Who was your first pick? Who'd you take as your first pick?
My first pick was Josh Allen.
Okay.
And I would say he did pretty well for me. Because guys want to take running backs, and I'm like, running backs get hurt every year. I could pick guys up, but the quarterback is who I want. And so I went and got the guy I wanted, even though there were other amazing quarterbacks. But I just think that he puts points up every week. And, it's about scoring the most points in fantasy. And so hopefully I can do that. And I got the Bills defense too. And they actually got me a lot of points last week.
Yeah, I think I have Josh Allen in one of my leagues and the Bills, and they gave me 50 points total. So I'm looking pretty good on that one particular league. So I agree with you.
No doubt.
All right, Gus, we'll see you down the road. Put anything you want on my page so I can retweet it.
All right, I will. Sure. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thanks. My pleasure as always. All right, that was Gus Frerotte. Obviously does a tremendous job. We went a little over. We always do with him. But that's fine because Mark Wilson has been traveling. I think he's finally home. I saw him walking back. So let's see. When we come back, we'll give him like 30 seconds to get situated. Make sure to give us a thumbs up. Make sure to I will post Gus's link and all those shows on my Twitter page. When we come back, Mark Wilson will join us. He's going to talk about Philadelphia sports. And not Rico, but Mark is going to tell us what games to bet on. You're watching the Full Monty Sports Show live on YouTube.
East Coast Covers, creator of the Smart Commuter Cover, designs and manufactures custom American handmade quality products. It is the only cover with an adjustable 4-toggle lock-in cord system, which lets you create the fit you want without the need for additional tie-downs. The cover conveniently self-stores when pulled into the attached backpack and also provides a pocket for storing small belongings. Nearly 42 years of riding experience are behind every design with a cover for whatever two wheels you ride.
All right, we're going to bring on Mark Wilson, writer for Nuts and Bolts Sports. I kind of, extended Gus a little bit because Mark was traveling. I think he's home now, so let's bring him on. Mark, are you home and are you situated?
Whew. I just literally walked in the door while you was talking to Gus.
I figured. Thank you so much. I know you were traveling. Take a minute just to cool down. We'll get all these questions. Let's start with your Philadelphia Phillies. They got rid of Joe Girardi, 131 and 141. Rob Thompson has took over. As of yesterday, he was 42 and 22. I like the offense on the Phillies. I do not want to play them in the playoffs. I like their top 2 or 3 pitchers. I think that they could really make some damage. What has been the change since Joe Girardi, who I liked, was kind of disaster in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I agree. You know how it is sometimes with sports. It's like a player that's doing bad. Change the scenery. Sometimes the change of scenery, ignites the team. To me, Joe Girardi, man, bad place, bad time, if we can call it that. But once he was let go, I guess the team just kind of took off. But not just that, it was also like a lot of players Bryce Harper got hurt, Schwarber got hurt, but it was the bench guys that also stepped up that ignited the spark in the Phillies. So why Joe Girardi, he just didn't manage the team as well as he possibly could. I think when the switch came, I don't know, man. I don't play professional sports. I think it just lit a fire up under them.
I forget who said it, but doing research for the show, someone said we're intense as we used to be, but we're not as stressed as we were than with Joe Girardi. Let's be honest. Girardi's a fiery guy, old school, lives and dies for every inning, kind of like Pat Riley used to coach, when he went to the Knicks and when he went to the Miami Heat, just like every game is the World Series. They said, and I quote, "We are still intense, but we're not as nervous or stressed." So did he bring like a calmness, a more professional approach than I'm going to get up your butt if you don't do something?
I believe so, because you also got to remember Joe Girardi is Yankees blood. Like every year for the Yankees, it was about win, 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 win. For the Phillies, it's like, all right, let's rebuild this kind of slowly. When Joe Girardi is like, watching the Derek Jeter documentary, like, yo, every season, our goal was to win. For the Phillies, it was like every season our goal is to get a little bit better.
Right.
Let's go from 70 wins to 80 wins. Joe Girardi's like, no, I want that ring. So, I guess, when he was fired, saying it was like a weight lifted off. And, now, to me, they've been playing awesome.
Mark, my friend Steve just texted me and said, the reason why Mark is sweating is his watch weighs about 50 pounds. It's the nicest watch I've ever seen. Where did you get that? Is that a gift or did you buy that?
I'm not messing with you. No. I brought it.
That's a nice watch, man.
Yeah,
That's
I collect watches. Thank you.
I used to have like 10 watches, and then I just stopped. Now I do like the Fitbit. That's my watch. All right. So I like, Noah Syndergaard when he first came back. I think they were 4-0 with him starting. Zach Wheeler, former Met. I love Zach Wheeler as a number one starter. Looks like if you do make the playoffs, you're probably going to wind up facing the Braves. The Mets are now in first place. How far can this team go? What is the ceiling? And are you at the point where you're like, hey, if we make the playoffs, that is a successful year from how the team started this year?
Man, you want the honesty, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll put it like this. If we catch the Braves, we can beat them. If we catch the Mets, we're going home. I mean, right. I don't know why we have such great success against Atlanta, but we suck against, your Met. Against the Mets. The ceiling for us, man, God, I'm sorry, Philly fans. I'm happy with making the playoffs because I know we need more. We need better pitching. I love Aaron Nola. I love Aaron Nola 7 years ago.
Right.
Syndergaard, he is what I would call a great fantasy pitcher. You can get some strikeouts out of him, but he's going to give up about 9 to 10 hits per game. So if the offense is not cooking,
that's why I say in a small series, if Zach Wheeler pitches a gem, and then Syndergaard comes in and gives up 2 runs in 7 innings, you have a shot of taking those 2 games 2 out of 3. But over the long course of the series, and you bring up a point, one of the things I don't understand is, with Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom, and whatever third pitcher you have, let's get Bassett out of there. They're fastball hitters. You would think Harper, Schwarber, your guys who would thrive against hitting those fastballs, but the Phillies struggle for some reason against the Mets pitching, and you would think, hey, this guy's throwing a fastball. We have power hitters. We're going to take advantage of it. But the Mets have owned the Phillies. Yeah.
That part, I'm with you. I cannot figure this one out to save my life. That's why I'm so scared of the Mets. We talk about it in the chat. They terrify me.
Listen,
I think, yeah. Uh-huh.
If they have, I say this, the Mets now, lately they're 8 and 9 hitters with McCann, and the Mets 8 and 9 hitters are starting to hit. But forget about that. Let's say the Mets have 1 through 7 who are pretty consistent. You're facing deGrom, Scherzer, and let's say Bassett. and then you have a closer like we have. It's not an easy series for anyone. I think the Mets to win the World Series, which I don't think they will. I think DeGrom and Scherzer can only lose 1 or 2 games in the entire playoff run, and I don't see that happening.
I agree with you on that one. I agree. I don't like the Mets, but like I said, they scare me.
All right, let's move to your Eagles. You and I bonded right away because early on I said that this team is my sleeper team. They're winning the division. Let's talk about Nick Sariani as a first-year coach. He went 9-8. They made the playoffs. Philly fans are crazy because one week they're saying he was coach of the year. Next week they want to fire this guy. What do you like? What don't you like about him?
I mean, if I compare him to like Peterson, there's really no difference. Peterson just ran into some bad luck. Wentz got hurt. I mean, he just ran into some bad luck. Sirianni, with him, once again, 9-8 season, first year coach last year. Pretty much what I still say, rookie quarterback in my eyes. Miles Sanders was hurt. The defense was hurt. So what he did last year was remarkable. But who's to say Peterson couldn't have done that? This year is going to determine what kind of coach he is. You have what I will consider a top 5 offense.
Yeah.
The defense is now fixed. They're healthy. The secondary is, oh my God, the secondary is killer. There's no excuses. If you can't get it done this year with this team, you don't deserve to be the coach. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I mean, look, I look at this team, and Pro Football Focus has their offensive line. Forget about 1, 2, or 3, ranked in the top 3. You have A.J. Brown, which he's, 25, 26 years old, just as good as any draft pick. People don't want to give Smith credit. He had a very good rookie season. I absolutely love Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders. Again, people don't realize this. I said this earlier in the show. The Eagles were the number 1 rushing team in the NFL. If this team is playing from a lead, Hurts is not going to have to drop back on a 3rd and long and make play. They're going to control the clock. They're going to run the ball, kind of old school. How good can this offense be? Because I think they're top 5.
My issue with Sirianni is wow. We finished with the number 1 rushing offense, but early in the year, he would not run the ball. He would not run the ball. So I'm like, dang. But then that tells you what kind of talent Hurts is. I'm a Bama guy, so of course, I'm going to go with Hurts. But the finish as number 1 rushing offense for an offense who did not run the ball well in the first half of the year, that is remarkably crazy. That is crazy. Where I see their offense at, they got a chance to be, like you're saying, top 3 in the league. And I'm not saying it because I'm a fan, because they have the weapons.
Well, you bring up a good point, because just think about this national championship team. You have Jalen Hurts, who's the starting quarterback of Philadelphia, Tua, who's starting in Miami, and Mac Jones in New England. I mean, people want to talk about Nick Saban. They almost lost last week. There was so many upsets. I mean, you have 3 franchise quarterbacks on a national champion team. It's insane what Alabama's doing. Okay, let's talk about this defense for the Eagles. Okay, what is their strength? What is their weakness? I think the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chargers, 3 of my top teams that have improved and addressed their weaknesses this offseason. What do you like about this defense? Where do you say, oh, man, we may struggle here in certain areas, if any?
First, I want to say thank you to the football gods for giving us Jordan Davis. I don't know how that happened, but thank you. And I'm going to say this guy's name's wrong. Once again, I'm just off the plane. Gardner Webb.
Yes. Okay.
From the Saints. I don't know how we got him. Like, thank you. Like, come on now. You going right next to Slay? Oh my God, are you crazy now? Like, come. Oh Lord. And then Hassan Reddick, if I'm pronouncing the name. Once again, I didn't look anything up today. Hassan Reddick from Carolina is now our starting linebacker. Or 12, 13 sacks last year. Well, thank you. Then we're getting healthy. Our biggest weakness was our D-line. I think we had 30 sacks last year. 30 sacks. I think that had us ranked like 26 in the league. That has to improve. We play in a division where you got Dak Prescott and whoever's quarterbacking for the Giants. And then we got Carson Wentz twice. They coming for Wentz. So we cannot attack Wentz, who's not as mobile as he once was, and Prescott. We have a problem.
But I mean, you look like you said. You look at Jordan Davis. He is 6'4", 341 pounds. I mean, how are you going to move this guy if it's 3rd and 1 and you're trying to run up the middle? This guy is a load. He comes from a program in Georgia where, let's be honest, defensive players under Kirby Smart and running backs have been Georgia's specialty. So, yeah, I agree with you. Let's break this game down. I am not a big believer in whatever the Detroit Lions coach is selling. I think he's Rex Ryan on HGH. All he's about. I mean, I talk about this with my friend Andrea all the time. When you cry after week 7 or 8 because your team lost by a field goal, that is not what a head coach. Don't tell me he loves his players. Every coach loves his players, even Bill Belichick. It's a business first, but they bond with their players. I think this is a great test for the Eagles because everyone under the sun is high on Detroit Lions. They're going to win 8 games this year, at best, Detroit. I think the Eagles go in there and dominate this team. Are you as high on this first game as I am?
Of course. Last year, 44-10.
Right.
And that was with, once again, hurt defense. And then we didn't have A.J. Brown. Smith was still learning the game. Hurts was still learning the game. We were not as complete as we are now. But once again, the game still has to be played. Anything can happen. But on paper, it should be like another 44-10 score.
So you're saying they cover the 4-point spread?
Oh, they're going to murder that. Well, they better. I got some money on this one, so they better murder that 4-point spread.
All right. Over, under. I know Greg is a Cowboy fan, and he says the Cowboys are winning the division. All the moves the Eagles made, I'm like, the Eagles got this division. Over, under for the Eagles, 11.5 wins. I have them going 12-5. Is that too high?
You read the article? What I had them, 14?
Well, you had them over, yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think you had them 13-4, and I thought that was a little high.
I'm going with the over.
Okay, you're going with the over. All right.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about other games here. Obviously, Miami, 3-point favorite against the Patriots. This is the way I look at this game. I don't care how good of a coach you are. There is not one player on the New England Patriots on offense in the skill position, running back, wide receiver, tight end, who's in the top 50 in NFL players. Not one. I look at what they've done with their offensive-minded head coach in Miami. I think Tua has a very good year. I think Tyreek Hill, out of the first 10 plays, they try to get on the ball 6 times, and that's going to open up the game for Jalen Waddle, who broke Anquan Bolden's record last year for rookie receptions. So I think Miami wins this game, and Bill Belichick's defense is going to be good, but I think Miami finishes second in division, and I have Miami covering the spread of 3.5. Who do you like and why?
I'm actually going with the upset here.
You're going with New England. The Patriots.
Yeah. I'm going with I'm going with the Patriots on this one. Whoo! Because something about Bill, like you're saying, you don't have to be top 1,000 with the Patriots, but he gets the best out of those players. And I think with Tua, and once again, I'm a Bama fan. I love Tua. I think they're going to press the issue. I think they're going to press it a little too much. And you don't play with Belichick like that. You don't do that.
Well, we do know that Bill Belichick against rookie head coaches and first and second year players is dominant. Like he really does. And I will say this, one thing I did not factor, Bill has had all year to prepare for this game. It's week 1, but I'm still going with my Dolphins. I think they win this game by more than 3.5. You're taking the Patriots. Okay, I'm a Packer guy, but I think they take a step back. I actually think Minnesota wins the division. I know that sounds crazy, but I think they win the division. Devontae Adams is no longer there. He's not Aaron Rodgers' guy anymore. Aaron Rodgers is a great player, but I just think that the Packers take a step back. They are 1.5 favorite in Minnesota this week. Who do you like to win and why?
Minnesota. It's like Gus said. Who are you throwing the ball to, Aaron?
Right. Yeah.
Like
Good point.
the water boy, you have no. I mean, I get it. He's a great quarterback. We cannot take that away. However, you can't throw the ball and then catch the ball yourself. So until they can prove that they can catch the ball, this is Minnesota. Minnesota has a potent offense.
Yep. And listen, I say this all the time about Kirk Cousins. I trust Kirk Cousins during the regular season. I don't trust him down 4 in San Francisco in a wild card game with a minute left. But to win games, of course I trust him. All right, let's talk about a few more things here. Okay, so I have the Eagles as my sleeper team. Give us a sleeper team in the AFC, a team that you think is going to pop this year. Is it the Raiders? You know, I have the Chargers as my sleeper team, and everyone's like, you can't make them your sleeper team. I'm like, the definition of a sleeper is someone who didn't make the playoffs last year. So the Chargers didn't make the playoffs last year. That's why they're my sleeper team. Who do you like in the AFC?
You got to watch out for the Colts.
Really? You're high on that?
I mean, Matt Ryan is like 1,000 years old, but he's an upgrade over Carson Wentz.
Right.
You still giving Jonathan Taylor the ball 300 times a season. Yeah. He's going to get it. And that defense is just good everywhere. They remind me of that Tampa Bay defense back in the day with Warren Sapp and them boy. Them dudes, they just everywhere. If Matt Ryan can manage the game, they can cause havoc.
By the way, talking about like all-time defense, I didn't want to bring this up, but someone compared your rookie to Jerome Brown. I'm like, there's only one Jerome Brown. Let's calm down, okay? He was an absolute stud at the University of Miami, clogged up the middle. But going back to, and I'm getting a text about this, how much I'm of the belief if you're a rookie and you could play, put him in there, let him get beat up, let him learn on the job. Are you one of these guys who's let's not wear him out, or you're like throw him to the wolves?
Man, you get paid millions of dollars. You better get You better get out there on that field.
Well, Greg, look at Greg. Obviously, attacked me saying that one of the definitions of a sleeper team is a playoff team. I think the Eagles are going to not only win the division, but maybe get to the NFC Championship. That's how high I am on this team. So that's why I said no one has the Eagles going to the NFC Championship, by the way. Okay, let's talk about a few quarterbacks here, talking with Mark Wilson. Then we'll talk about how we could follow, how we could support you. So you got to take one quarterback out of this young group.
Really? That's what we're doing now?
Yeah, who you taking?
Oh, my God. Are you serious? Oh,
There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer.
You know what? I gotta go Allen.
Okay. All right.
That dude is that dude is like sunshine on the Titan movie. Like he's just a football player.
I don't understand one thing about this. It's been a few years now, and I brought this up with Gus. He keeps trying to run over people. Like, Josh, I know you're big. I know you're strong. But you got to slide once in a while. You got to run out of bounds. Not everything is get the extra yards. You're not running over, a guy who's going to be on Wall Street next year when you played at Wyoming and they're not these are professional football players, dude. Like, that's what worries me about Josh Allen. He runs too much.
Yeah, he got to slow down.
He's going to get hurt. I mean, it's too much.
Yeah.
All right. So I have, if I'm just looking at it right now, just off the top of my head, I have, people are not going to like this, I have the Rams and the Eagles in the NFC Championship. I have the Chargers. I don't like the Bills. I don't like the Bengals. I'll take the Chargers, and I'll take the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Give us your two AFC and NFC championships.
Well,
your 14
Eagles, no doubt about that. Man, the second team, please don't kill me, y'all. I got a thing with Minnesota. I don't know what it is about that. I think one year they're going to put it together. They're going to put it together one year. So, why not this year? But yeah, I mean, the offense is, I love the offense. The defense got to get it together. AFC, yes. I mean, I got to go with the Bills. And like you're saying, don't sleep on those Chargers. That division alone is scary.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want to play. I just like, I forfeit. Like I'm good. But yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. Chargers and Bills, Eagles and Vikings.
I mean, a lot of people are high on the Vikings, and I am, and a lot of that is I think the Bears are going to struggle this year with a first-year coach. They're rebuilding. They don't have a lot of weapons for Justin Fields. I think the Lions are the Lions. You know, they've never been to a Super Bowl. So the last time they were in an NFC Championship was 1990 with Barry Sanders. But I think the Packers take a step back, and like you, I like Minnesota. I don't know if I have them getting to the NFC Championship game, but I do like them winning the division. Who would be your MVP of the year?
Oh, oh Lord. Oh God. Taylor, Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, so you're going with the running back this year.
Yeah, that dude. Yeah, he's gonna put up like 8,000 yards this year, man.
I mean, listen, he was the youngest player to rush for over 2,000 yards last year. So, I mean, to have 2,000 all-purpose yards. So, yeah, Greg's saying Saints-Ravens Super Bowl. Wow. With Jameis Winston. Okay, Mr. Turnover.
Greg, really? Greg, really?
You know what's so funny, too? People talk about, this game. Look, I'm a Marcus Mariota guy because my Oregon Ducks. I think the Saints win this game. But people are saying, oh, Jameis Winston has such a tremendous upside this year. You got to remember something. Winston doesn't have Sean McVay on the sideline anymore. He doesn't have an offensive genius there. He has a defensive-minded coach. And we know one thing about Winston. He's a turnover machine. They do have good weapons. I like Jarvis Landry. I like Olave out of Ohio State. Michael Thomas comes back, and obviously Alvin Kamara. But I don't think the Saints are better than Tampa Bay. Do you?
Hell no. I mean, heck no.
You can say hell no. You can say hell no. That's fine. Look, and my friend Andrew gets so mad. Why are people so hyped about the Vikings and Kirk Cousins? Because he can win regular season games. He may not win a NFC championship or a playoff game, but he could get you, 10, 11, 12 wins. And in that division, I think that'll be enough. All right, Mark, I appreciate you rushing. Where were you traveling from, by the way?
Atlanta.
Okay. So you just got in, and how long did it take you to get from the airport to your apartment or house there?
2 hours.
Okay. All right. But now you're relaxed. You're all ready for Sunday. Big things for the Eagles. We want to have you on the show doing games, breaking down the Eagles. So just for everyone keeping score who's going to bet, he's taking the Eagles plus the 4. He's taking the Patriots. I'm not. And he's taking Minnesota. So the only thing we disagree on is I'm taking the Dolphins. You're taking the Patriots.
Yeah, yes, sir.
That is correct. All right, Mark, how can we follow you? How can we support you? This is your first time on. You hit it out of the park. I'm sure when the Phillies make the playoffs, we'll have you on again.
Oh, yeah, I'm with that. Of course, thanks for having me, this NBS family. You can reach me on BX Reporter on Twitter. Pretty much that's like my only platform. I don't really do anything else. I do, involved with the clothing line. richkidmoneybear.com is our clothing line. Other than that, yeah.
Mark, my friend wants to see your watch one more time. Give us one more.
You know what?
There you go.
I can't. Y'all bugging.
I love it. All right, Mark, we'll see you in a couple of weeks when the Phillies make the playoffs. Thanks so much for making the time today. Enjoy the game.
Thanks for having me. All right, yeah, have a good one.
All right, that was Mark. Does a great job. He writes for Nuts and Bolts. But big Philly guy. People think that because I'm in New York, I'm not a Philly guy. I'm all in on the Eagles, and I'm going to surprise some of you right now. Don't be surprised if the Philadelphia 76ers win 60 games this year. They're going to be that good. Yes, they are going to be that good. All right, I want to thank Gus Frerotte. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Tomorrow, we start our Monday night show with Brad Ward and A-Marie, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Just going to give you my little extra point here before we get off the air. All right, so Scott Frost. Scott Frost was at UCF. And when Scott Frost was at UCF, he took over a program that was 0-13. Took over a program that was 0-13. His first year, he went 6-7, and they were eligible for a bowl game. His second year, Scott Frost goes 13-0. They actually beat Auburn in a bowl game at UCF. So what happens, right? What happens to Scott Frost? Okay, so Scott Frost leaves UCF, and he goes to Nebraska. And it's been an absolute disaster at Nebraska. An absolute disaster. Here is his record: 4-8, 5-7, 3-5, 3-9, 1-2. He's 16-31 at Nebraska. He's 10-26 in conference. At UCF, he was 12-4 in conference. Now, people say, "Oh, Monty, he's going home again." So he had to do it. No, he didn't. Let me explain something to people who don't follow college football. The best high school programs in the country, are you ready? They come from, not in order, California, Texas, Pennsylvania, Ohio, New Jersey, and that's right, Florida. When Scott Frost was at Florida, UCF was out recruiting the University of Miami, Florida State. He went back to Nebraska thinking that he could bring that magic. It's been a colossal mistake. Sometimes in life, it's better being a Scottie Pippen, okay, second fiddle, or being the man at a smaller place than being the number one guy at a big place. Give you an example. Remember college football game day? Craig James was there with Lee Corso. What happens? Craig James goes on to CBS, and they bring in some guy named Kirk Herbstreit who doesn't know. No one knows about him. Kirk Herbstreit said he went to the interview and he knew he wasn't going to get the job. Craig James left college football game day because CBS made him an offer of money, ton of money. If he just would have stayed with college football game day, he would have made 10 times that amount because Kirk Herbstreit is getting paid millions for college football game day. Now, it's the same thing with Scott Frost here. Scott Frost had it all at UCF. Orlando, great campus, sunny weather. He goes to Nebraska, and it's been terrible. It's been so bad. Again, his Big Ten record is 10-26. He's 16-31 at Nebraska. He's going to get fired. So sometimes in life, it's not about the money. It's not about bettering your situation. It's about being happy and being content where you are. Just ask Craig James, who left college football game day, and now no one knows who Craig James is, and everyone knows who Kirk Herbstreit is. Okay, I want to thank you all for tuning in. I want to thank Gus Frerotte. I want to thank Mark Wilson. I want to thank you. Remember, tomorrow we recap at 6 p.m. right here on the Nuts and Bolts Sports YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like. And in the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. Enjoy the games, everyone.